Power hour in 60 seconds. I'm about to give you a power hour in 60 seconds. You're saying it's impossible. Wait till you see my mathematics. It's going to blow you away. Don't you go anywhere. Be right back.
On this rock I will build my church, and the gates of hell shall not prevail against it. Abundant Life Cathedral Church, the church of tomorrow today. A ministry that is building the people that shape the world.
Now, before I get into the power hour, first of all, let me say thank you so much for being here if you're watching this by rebroadcast. And that means if you're watching this later on at night or in the evening or whenever at another time, thank you so much for watching. Here's how you watch this. There is no time and space in the spiritual dimension. In life action, there is no time and space. So what you're watching is just like it happened originally. It's like we're right here, we're right there. There's no time. Hey. So make sure you share this with someone. You can share it right now. As a matter of fact, it's easier for you to share it if you're watching this at another time. Share it with a friend. When you share it with a friend, that means you're sharing it with somebody who might also share it with a few more people. That helps us with what they call the algorithms, the like, thumbs up, that kind of stuff. And also your comments. I love your comments. But we'll talk about that later. I want to get to this. I want to get to the power hour in 60 seconds. But I got to tell you a story first so you'll understand what I'm talking about. I've been following this story about, and hear me out now, about a man by the name of Uncle Nearest, a whiskey distiller. Now, anybody that knows some of the things that I've been talking about over the years might vaguely remember that around 2013, I did this teaching about the spiritual life, and it was about drop it down. In other words, drops from heaven. And those drops from heaven came out as a definition of not heaven in drops, but distilled. That's right. Look it up. Check it out. I don't have the scripture for you right now, but believe me, when you get to that word, it actually means distilled. In other words, it was based on the fact that heaven is too big to come down and be inside of any one person. You need a distilled version. Heaven is about abundance. Heaven is about expanse. Heaven is about the openness of your ideas. Heaven, there is ideas in heaven. Heaven, blessing, idea, miracle. We talked about it last week. It's constantly coming in and out, all around you, swirling all around you. You have to be able to grab it when the time comes. Now, here's my story. It's about this guy named Uncle Nearest. He was a black man. He was actually a slave, an enslaved person. But there was something that he learned from Africa, from his forefathers. And it was how to distill spirits. I didn't say spirit, I said spirits. So he was a distiller of whiskey. He was up there in Lynchburg, Tennessee. So at particular time, he was an enslaved person to the person who was the slave master, which was a preacher at the time. Yep. And the preacher owned the distillery, and actually the preacher was doing two things. He was the pastor of the church, and he was a bootlegger. Hey, he was trying to make some money on the side. Everybody had to have a little side hustle, and that's what he was doing. Well, right during that time, just before Lincoln had freed the slaves, Uncle Nearest was the distiller or the master distiller for this moonshine. Now, it wasn't like a backbreaking slave kind of work for Uncle Nearest. We don't know what it was. here's what we do know. After the emancipation, Uncle Nearest never left that place. He kept on distilling whiskey. And evidently, you don't leave your day job. Just because they freed the slave didn't mean that Uncle Nearest was going to leave his day job, because the preacher was paying the money for his arts. Now, what the preacher did do was he had a little bitty old scrawny kid, and he asked Uncle Nearest if he would take the kid up under his wing and teach him how to distill whiskey, because it was selling all over the Tennessee place. This was Tennessee whiskey. And so Uncle Nearest said, okay. He was paying him. After slavery, that's how he was making him some money. They were in business together. Well, finally, one day, the deacon board and all the church members showed up at the preacher's house. He was white. And told him, say, brother, you got to make up your mind what you're going to do. Either you're going to preach the gospel and pastor the church, or you're going to be in the whiskey business. We found out. We know that you are the one that's doing it. It ain't come from nowhere. It's coming from you. So the preacher decided, all right, he decided to pastor his church. Well, when he did that, he told Uncle Nearest, he said, look, you got the business. It's all yours. And so the preacher went ahead and taught this little scrawny 13, 14, 15-year-old kid the business, how to distill. And the little boy grew up, and he was working. Understand, this boy wasn't privileged. This boy wasn't some privileged kid. This boy was a hard worker. He was working out there cutting the corn. He was doing all of the hard work because Uncle Nearest was training him. And so he taught this little boy how to distill whiskey. And you could see the camaraderie and the connection that they had and the relationship they had. And this boy was named Jack. You got the story. And what had Jack do? Jack started selling whiskey all around Tennessee that Uncle Nearest had taught him how to distill. And so what was his last name? Daniels. So now you hear the story of Jack Daniels. Well, you know that later on, when you can see the son of Uncle Nearest sitting next to Jack Daniels on a picture back during the 1800s, which lets you know that you didn't have black people sitting there like that with white people. So there was a unique relationship. As a matter of fact, when Jack Daniels talked about it, and the company who wanted to bring Uncle Nearest out and wanted to make sure that this story is told, this is what Jack Daniels wanted to do. Make sure that this history didn't die, because it had died for a while. Nobody knew about this story. And so when Jack Daniels brought this story out just a few years ago, Jack Daniels got a bunch of blowback because there were some people that didn't like the fact that, black and white people were working together. So Jack Daniels had to pull away for a little while. But now they're saying this story is very important. We're in a city, Lynchburg, Tennessee. Now, ain't too many folk going there, especially black folk ain't going nowhere near any city named Lynchburg. Okay? But the people in this city, come to find out, they talked about it, says, well, what do the people in this city think? In this community thing? Well, they say you got about 5% that, some white nationalists or whatever, but 95% of the community connects with each other. They work together. They've always worked together. They've always been a relationship. You're going to always have people and problems in a community. Lynchburg was Lynchburg. There was horse thieves and stuff that got lynched. A lot of that history. But as we look at that history, we understand that history. But the point is, they figured out a way to talk to each other, to work together. You still got people from Uncle Nearest that still, the descendants of his, that works for Jack Daniels. Well, now they figured out, how can we help? And so what they've done is they have put they've put the bottle out. The bottle is Uncle Nearest. That's premium whiskey, and they're selling like crazy. As a matter of fact, it's a black woman, one of the descendants, that is the distiller for right now. And they're saying, but aren't they in competition? Well, when you say Uncle Nearest and tell the story of Jack Daniels, guess what? You sell Jack Daniels. When you tell the story of Jack Daniels, you sell Uncle Nearest. So I'm not pushing this because I'm here pushing with me. I think we need to change that thought process. We got to go a little higher. What I'm talking about, it's something, why did it bring this community together? Why were these people able to overcome their racism just to make money? And it has been working all of these years. This is what's important to me. Well, I guess, you take enough shots, I guess you would overcome your racism, have yourself a good time. But that's not my point. My point is they work together. And so when you work together, they say that Jack Daniels never paid people of color less wages than people who were white. Everybody got paid the same. And if you worked there longer, you got paid more. That's how Jack worked. Now, if this is the case, and this is the history that they've dug up, what we're discovering is that when we see ourselves on the same level and a part of a community that's the same, with the same voice and the same input, then it changes our power. It changes how we see ourselves, and how we see ourselves, it changes how we do things. Wouldn't it be interesting to find out that America could take lessons from Lynchburg, Tennessee, up in the hills, up around the holler? Think about it. So what I'm going to tell you is where that power comes from. It comes from a word called entitlement. The belief that we are entitled to something. Now, before you get all bent out of shape and say, well, that's what people who are not white, they think of themselves as being entitled. They're entitled to everything. They think they're entitled to this, entitled to that. And if they think they're the only ones entitled, then that means that other people, they feel that other people are not entitled. So if I think that one race feels entitled to everything, then I may think of myself as someone that's not entitled. So if I think I'm not entitled, that's my mind telling me that I'm not worthy to have that because they're entitled and I'm not entitled. This is what happens when you start dealing with that Voting Rights Act, because you're waiting on some senators or whatever to sign off on it. In other words, well, you got to go through us to get your Voting Rights Act. See, this is so important in America, to deal with that Voting Rights Act and make this thing even, level playing field. Because if I'm able to look at you and realize that I got the same vote as you have, and you look at me and realize, whether you like it or not, that I have the same vote as you have, that we both have the same voting power, then we can deal with some of these issues, redlining districts and gerrymandering and all of these different things that try to make people feel less than. When I try to make you feel less than, guess what? I'm hurting myself. Because it means that I'm taking away the power of trust. Now, I'm going to take you to the power hour. Our power. And it's like this. When I saw it, we've been talking about the Lord's Prayer. And when I said the power hour in 60 seconds, here's what I mean. Jesus makes a statement. The first two words that you should always do whenever you approach God is our Father. The power is in the word our. Not H-O-U-R, but O-U-R. You catching this? This is where it hit. The power is in the hour. When I'm able to say our, then I'm able to tap into the power. Oh my goodness. I'd hit that share button about right now because this is teaching. Ain't nobody got this today on Sunday. Hit your share button. Share button, of course, it taps in somebody else, whoever you share it with, they might know 10 more people or 50 more people, and they'll share it with somebody else and tell them, hey, share this. This needs to go. This needs to go, because tell them to share it with their friends, all races, all backgrounds, all religions. It doesn't matter, because when we pray, we have to pray our Father. Who is it? Is it a Baptist or the Methodist or the Pentecostal? Is it the Catholics? Is it the Evangelical? It doesn't matter. Whoever calls on God, it is our Father. Our brings down. In other words, I'm no higher than you. You no higher than me. But I'm no lower than you. You no lower than me. We come together at the same table. Our Father. There is power in our Father, which art in heaven. In other words, our Father, who has created the universe, who has supplied the universe. Hallowed, in other words, holy, set apart, a different species of being, a different place is thy name. Thy kingdom come, will be done. These are commands that we are speaking into the universe of our existence on earth as it is in heaven. We're speaking it. We're speaking it. Our Father, we're speaking these things. Why is that important? Because it's about entitlement. Entitlement means this. When you say our, you are entitled to be here. Don't you ever let anybody take that away from you. You are entitled to be here. Just like anybody else. You're entitled to create. You are entitled to do the vision that is in your heart. Listen, every time you try to do something good, try to bring people together, every time maybe you try to write a project, maybe you're a film, a script writer, TV script writer, maybe you're a film producer. Maybe you're a musician that's about to go back and do some other work, but you've gotten different work, where you were working in the church realm. Now you're working in some other realms and you're doing some other different things that you never thought you could do. And maybe in these different, maybe you're going into a new field. Maybe you've come out of 4-year college and you're going into 2-year college. Maybe you're going into, instead of more of an intellectual kind of thing, you're going into a trade. You've discovered, hey, you like working with your hands. You like hammering nails. You like building things. You like creating architecture. You're starting to see things that you've never been able to see before. Your creativity is about to explode, but you will never succeed in it if you don't understand this is our Father. Give us this day our daily bread, and to realize you are entitled to have this. Because when you start creating and you start moving up to other levels, walking on ground where other people are walking, and maybe they're not as successful at it as you, and you start walking on it, and maybe you become what they consider to be more successful than they are. There's some people are not going to pat you on your back or tell you how great thou art. They may start talking to you. They may start the conversation and say, how dare you? How dare you create in my space? How dare you do what you do, what I've been doing for over 15, 20 years. I've been struggling, trying to make it, and you come in and you start doing it and you become an instant success. How dare you exist? And then they may not even talk to you anymore, but your own mind starts taking over and you start hearing things in your head. You do know you're the wrong color. You do know they're gonna set you up to fail. They're just gonna take you up high and then just let the floor drop from beneath you. You don't have what it takes. You can't go the distance. You don't have the stamina. You're too old. You realize that you're over 60 years old? You have no business trying to do this at the age you are. You need to go sit down and do something and turn it over to the young people. You tell them, the young people, you're not smart enough. You're too young. You don't have enough wisdom. You don't have enough experience. You can't make it in this field. Look in the daggone mirror. Don't you know that you're the wrong color? Don't you realize your skin is too blotchy? Don't matter whether you're a person of color. They'll turn around and say, look at you. Your hair is too red. You blush too easy. You don't have the right kind of conversation. You can't talk. The pitch of your voice is too high. Don't you realize you can't make this? You can't do this? You can't write. It's never been done before. It's not going to be done now. Somebody's already done it. It's not an original. You can't do this. You can't create an original. Don't you realize this is not what people expect? Why are you doing what people don't expect? You know people are not going to be there. You're going to be all there by yourself. Bam, 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 bam. Stop it. Stop it, stop it, because I came to tell you, when you speak our Father, what you do is you take hold of that voice that has took authority in your mind and in your personality, and you grab it and you pull it back down and you turn around and say to that voice, listen, mister. Listen, miss. Because that voice thinks it's a ventriloquist and is going to try to talk in your language and talk like you, and you just say, you may try to sound like me, but I'm here to tell you, mister, you do not control me, because I am created in the image of God. I've been created from the dust of the planets and the stars of the universe. I have been planted in the garden of earth, and the seed of God is in the ground, and God created me from the dust of the earth, and the seeds of God were there in the dust of the earth. And when God created me and my descendants, I lifted up and rose up, and God gave me an intellect and told me to tend that garden. And when I tended that garden, the seeds began to grow, and the seeds began to blossom, and the seeds began to come into fruition, and I began to produce. And when I produce, everything comes forth, because God has given me the ability to produce. And you grab that thing by the neck and say, now listen, you understand what I just said? Now get out of here. Take control of your life with our Father. I used to grow up, and I would hear people say that saying all the time. You got to go to school to get a good job, because you got to be twice as good. You got to be 2 times better. And I said, 2 times better than who? And they say, you got to be 2 times better than that person over there. And I finally learned, I don't have to be 2 times better than that person over there. I just have to work hard at my craft and love what I'm doing, and realizing that when I wake up in the morning and say, give me this day our daily bread, God gives to me everything I need for that particular day. Wow. I'm entitled because of our power. Don't go anywhere. Don't go anywhere. I'll be right back. Hello, this is Ed Montgomery. There's an ancient text that says, "Count it all joy," or consider it joy when you deal with different or various trials. For the trying of your faith works or creates endurance. And I think we all have to say we've had to endure a lot in these last 14 months, getting through COVID, transitions, jobs, finance, health. Oh, it's just been so much. But I want you to know that we can't stop here. There's another space. There's another place. There is another horizon. ALC is about to move into its next phase of ministry. And I want this phase to be the best. And I've prayed and I've asked God, just give me whatever it is you're going to give me, because I want to help people move to that next place in their life. And there were 3 things that I heard deep in my spirit. And those 3 things are this: pursue purpose, grow faith, and enjoy your journey. Help people pursue their purpose, grow their faith, and enjoy their journey. Purpose is something that we need in order to move forward. Faith is what keeps us going on. But none of it is worth anything if you can't enjoy the journey. So I want you to take a moment. Help me get this vision off the ground as we move into a new facility, a new vision, a new space. And do what you can to keep us going forward. This is our 40th year. Yes, 40 years of ministry. And I want to make this our best years. So I want you to take a moment, go to myalc.org. That's myalc.org. And hit that donate button. Mash it, crash it, smash it. And the screen will pop up and it'll tell you how to give. You can decide how you want to give, whether it's your tithe, an offering, whatever you're going to give. Put the number 40 in it. It'll make a huge difference. Just put that number 40 somewhere in whatever you're going to give. Or of course you can use your app. Your app is special. We're working on the app every single week, and we're going to continue to work on it because we want that to be a place where you can go and listen to us on the radio. You can watch this broadcast, all those things, because it'll be right there on your phone. And you can also do what is so popular, giving through text. And all you got to do is just take your phone, and all you got to do is type in that phone number, 713-742-2035. That's 713-742-2035. And send whatever message or amount you want to give, whether it's $10, $15, $20. Just type the number 20 or 50 or whatever number you want to give in that text message box. And then click the send arrow button or whatever, and it'll go right to us. If it's your first time, it's going to open an account for you, but it only takes seconds in order to establish it. Or of course you can give through the post office box. That's something that there's some of us that said, I just want to do this by check. And that's what you can do. You can send it, mail it to Abundant Life Center or Abundant Life Cathedral, same place. P.O. Box 772-300, Houston, Texas 77215. Look, I'm at a place right now where normally a lot of these ideas and things that we're about to do and buildings we're about to go in and that are being developed even right now, normally I'd have Sandra to be able to bounce all of these ideas off, and now she's transitioned. She is in the arms of the ancestors and sitting at the table of the elders. But at the same time, I have you. And I have you praying for me, lifting me. Some of you I bounce ideas off of. But more than anything, I need you to help me. Help me with your prayers, and also help us with your support. hit that donate button. Make that contribution. Do it now. Do it today. Because I believe in the next years, doesn't matter what your age is, we're going to help you do those three things. Pursue your purpose, grow your faith, and enjoy your journey. Looking forward to seeing your name. Thank you in advance. Prayers are always with you. Listen, ladies and gentlemen, my brothers and my sisters. I've spent my whole life learning and understanding, and not that I've got it down pat or that I've got it down perfect, but you spend your life realizing that you've been praying to God up there and hoping to get an answer and hoping God will give it to you and hoping that it will come from somewhere out there. Until you finally realize this whole thing that's been staring you in the face in scriptures and texts, books that you read, because I read everything. And you realize that this God power is in you when you deal with the word our, O-U-R, because it's not just our Father, because it's other people in you. You are saying that the source of everything in life, the progenitor, the essence of the universe itself, beyond that, the one whom Jesus prayed to and called his Father. Jesus said is the same Father that's your Father. Not in a smaller way, but in the exact same way. And so throughout the years, I've discovered that when I understand that, and you just don't talk this every other week, every other month, you got to talk this every day. It's in everything I preach, everything I talk about. And it is that our power that's within us. As you can see, we are beginning to break down sets because we may not be in this space after today. We'll be going into our next one. We'll be moving into our building where we do our new space, where we'll be able to come to you in a different look. But it's not about that. What it's about is helping this generation to realize, look, we're not done yet. The God that we have within us wants to show the world what it is that we possess. Look, don't you dare die with a book inside of you. Don't leave this planet with things that you can write, you can paint, you can sell, you can create, companies that you might be able to create and make, jobs that will depend upon you to be able to give to people. Don't you dare leave this planet without exploring those things that you might be able to do that will give you joy. You say, well, I just want to help people. No, baby, just do whatever it takes to give you joy. And if it gives you joy, your joy will spill over into the lives of other people. You are entitled because the Father of Jesus is your Father and my Father, our Father. And that hour gives us the power to realize our entitlement. And what is that entitlement? Here we go. You are entitled to be here. How many of you just heard what I said? I am entitled to be here. If you got it, say it. You can hit it on the comment. I am entitled to be. Start telling people who you are. When I first learned to dance, I started taking ballroom dancing, Latin dancing, started winning competitions, and people would come up to me and say, oh, that was great. And I would say, oh, thank you so much. And boy, you're a great dancer. You're a dancer. And, well, you know, I've been taking some lessons and I'm trying. And in the beginning, I was talking like that. Till finally my instructor looked at me. And can you imagine Dr. Ed Montgomery? I mean, I wasn't that weak on it, but it was pretty weak. Because I was uncomfortable. I wasn't in my space. And my instructor told me, she says, Ed, you are a dancer. And if somebody asks you, are you a dancer? You say, I am a dancer. And when she told me, that principle clicked, because I wasn't used to it clicking in those phrases. I am a dancer. I am a teacher. What are you? Type in those comments, I am a writer. Type in those comments what you are. If you're ready to tell us. If you're not ready to tell us, then don't have to type it. Just say it right where you are. Say it out loud. Because when you say I am, it's going to put power in your hour. Listen, as you can tell, we're changing our set. We're getting ready to go into our other space. And we're in between two places. And I don't know what we're going to look like next week. All I know is I will meet you here next week. And I will be online next week. And I will see you next week. But in the midst of everything, COVID, we understand what's happening with COVID. We're working around these things. We're going to be doing soft openings, which means we're not doing hardcore where we just everybody show up and come on in. We're not that kind of church. We're not that kind of gathering. I'm not going to do that to people. I know there may be others who do it, but that's them, not us. We follow guidelines. I got science, in my blood and stuff. We follow those kind of guidelines. We understand. We do those kind of things. And we're working slowly, softly, and we will build up because we know we're going to live with COVID for a while. But we got to learn how to live with it. I'm concerned about those in our congregation who are elderly. I want to be able to have something for them, but I can't have enough for them. Just, well, you have to be vaccinated if you're going to be dealing with people who are going to be dealing with elderly scenarios. And when they're going to be there, yeah, you're going to have to look at that. Now, I can't just throw them in because somebody has a belief. Well, I don't agree with those particular kind of things. Listen, come to your senses. It's about our Father. There's power in our. Okay? So, that's coming up in December. Other than that, you keep your prayer thing on. Keep your giving thing on. And don't just give because we saying just give, you need to give or to plant a seed. Listen, this is one of the best opportunities and times to do what you're doing. During the holiday season, coming up into the new year, we got a thing we used to do called 365. This is the perfect time for those who know what I'm talking about to begin to do it. Go to myalc.org and make your voice known. Let your voice be made known. Let us know that you're right here at the table with us. I want to see your name. I want to know that you're at the table with me. That's where our power comes from. Look, they're gonna be breaking down this set. I got to go. They saying it's the last one until we get through this. There's Randall. You got okay, Dr. Ed. You got to go. All right. Love you, and I'll see you on the other side of this media. Okay. All right. Bye-bye. Hello, this is Ed Montgomery. There's an ancient text that says, count it all joy, or consider it joy when you deal with different or various trials. For the trying of your faith works or creates endurance. And I think we all have to say we've had to endure a lot in these last 14 months, getting through COVID, transitions, jobs, finance, health. It's just been so much. But I want you to know that we can't stop here. There's another space. There's another place. There is another horizon. ALC is about to move into its next phase of ministry. And I want this phase to be the best. And I've prayed and I've asked God, just give me whatever it is you're going to give me, because I want to help people move to that next place in their life. And there were 3 things that I heard deep in my spirit. And those 3 things are this: pursue purpose, grow faith, and enjoy your journey. Help people pursue their purpose, grow their faith, and enjoy their journey. Purpose is something that we need in order to move forward. Faith is what keeps us going on. But none of it is worth anything if you can't enjoy the journey. So I want you to take a moment. Help me get this vision off the ground as we move into a new facility, a new vision, a new space. And do what you can to keep us going forward. This is our 40th year. Yes, 40 years of ministry. And I want to make this our best years. So I want you to take a moment, go to myalc.org. That's myalc.org. And hit that donate button. Mash it, crash it, smash it. And the screen will pop up and it'll tell you how to give. You can decide how you want to give, whether it's your tithe, an offering, whatever you're going to give. Put the number 40 in it. It'll make a huge difference. Just put that number 40 somewhere in whatever you're going to give. Or of course you can use your app. Your app is special. We're working on the app every single week, and we're going to continue to work on it because we want that to be a place where you can go and listen to us on the radio. You can watch this broadcast, all those things, because it'll be right there on your phone. And you can also do what is so popular, giving through text. And all you got to do is just take your phone, and all you got to do is type in that phone number, 713-742-2035. That's 713-742-2035. And send whatever message or amount you want to give, whether it's $10, $15, $20. Just type the number 20 or 50 or whatever number you want to give in that text message box. And then click the send arrow button or whatever, and it'll go right to us. If it's your first time, it's going to open an account for you, but it only takes seconds in order to establish it. Or of course you can give through the post office box. That's something that there's some of us that said, I just want to do this by check. And that's what you can do. You can send it, mail it to Abundant Life Center or Abundant Life Cathedral, same place. P.O. Box 772-300, Houston, Texas, 77215. Look, I'm at a place right now where normally a lot of these ideas and things that we're about to do and buildings we're about to go in and that are being developed even right now, normally I'd have Sandra to be able to bounce all of these ideas off, and now she's transitioned. She is in the arms of the ancestors and sitting at the table of the elders. But at the same time, I have you. And I have you praying for me, lifting me. Some of you I bounce ideas off of. But more than anything, I need you to help me. Help me with your prayers, and also help us with your support. Hit that donate button. Make that contribution. Do it now. Do it today. Because I believe in the next years, doesn't matter what your age is, we're going to help you do those three things. Pursue your purpose, grow your faith, and enjoy your journey. Looking forward to seeing your name. Thank you in advance. Prayers are always with you.